it's Kim from Kim Dixon Creative. I'm bringing you an A2 card today using 2 dies from TLC Designs. I'm also using a digital stamp set from TLC Designs called Snow Buddies. The 2 dies that I'm using are called Scalloped Rectangle Garden. That's where I'm going to get the little birdhouse. And the Aviary Oval die. I'm going to use the oval die as well as the bird. And then the papers that I'm using are digital papers from TLC Designs. I'm using the Watercolor Naturals. I'm using that blue for my sky. And so right now I'm just coloring up my little snowman from the Snow Buddies digital stamp set. I'm just giving it a little bit of shadow on the edges with a light gray and also on the white part of my hat. As we all know, white is not always white. There's always some kind of shadow to it. So I add a little bit of gray on the edges just to give it some dimension. And then I'm going to bring in a couple of reds and color the top of that hat. Because I want the red, I've got my little red bird cut out with the die, and I want the red to come in and play with the red of that bird. I'm coloring the nose button with an orange, and I will end up coloring his buttons on his little bellies red as well. I'm using my Nuvo markers to color these up. These are the markers that I have. They're I want someday to get Copics, but right now that's just not in the budget. And so I'm going to just continue coloring this up with my markers. I decide that on my sentiment that I want to color those in as well. And so I'm going to bring in some red and green markers to color up those letters. I think it will look neat that way. Just add a little color to it as well. I'm just going to alternate each letter with a red and a green. I'm not doing any kind of shading or anything on it simply because these are kind of small for one thing, and for another there's kind of shading in it anyway. It's kind of made to look, I think, like ice. But I'm coloring mine up with red and green because I am at heart a traditionalist as far as Christmas is concerned. I do like to add a few other colors in, but as far as when I decorate or I see things that I like, I typically pick red and green for my colors. I also want to tell you that you might be hearing some little sounds in the background. While I am doing this voiceover for this video, I have one of the cutest and sweetest little helpers there ever was helping me out today. My little grandson Everett and I are hanging out today together. And he has found Grammy in the pantry where she's hiding from his television Cocomelon music. He loves to watch Cocomelon. And so he's found me and has come in here to help me. But at any rate, I'm just going to fussy cut out my images. They're simply, they're easy to cut. I could have put it on my brother's Scan and Cut, but these are just really easy to cut out. I didn't, you know, at the bottom of that image, there's a couple of lines for snowdrifts. I didn't cut those out because I'm going to make my own snowdrifts with some glitter cardstock that I have. I really do enjoy using this little digital stamp set. This is probably about the 3rd project that I've done using this stamp set, and I'll probably end up using it again in the next week or so. It's really fun. It's easy to color up because, you know, your snowman is white. And so it colors, I mean, it comes together really quickly. There are some other things in the stamp set. There's a little bird that can sit on his shoulder. There's a little pile of snowballs if you want to put in front of him. and he's just a lot of fun to play with. So and the good thing is it's a digital stamp, so you can make him as big or as small as you like. You can flip him so he can be looking a different direction than what you've got him in the stamp set. So I'm just going to take my sentiment, which is in the stamp set, and trim it up on my paper trimmer. I'm going to try to get it as, straight and square and even as possible. I eyeball things, so if it looks okay, it's fine. Just going to start assembling my card. Now, here comes that piece of glitter cardstock. I cut it out using that same oval die, just the bottom part of it. So because I want it to be the same as my blue piece on the bottom, but I'm going to eventually take my little scissors there and just trim a snowy hillside out of it. Using my little Tim Holtz craft pick to poke out all the little pieces. And then here's where I take my scissors and trim out the snowy hillside. I just want a glittery little snow hill that my snowman can be sitting on, and my little bird house and my bird that I have cut out. I'm going to pop some of this up to give some of it dimension, and right now I'm just kind of laying things out to see how I want them. I had cut that little tree trunk out thinking that I would use it, and it came from the little rectangle garden die, scallop rectangle garden, and I end up not really liking it. I couldn't find a good place for it, so I ended up just not using it. So I'm just kind of giving it a dry run to see how things are going to look on my card, and to make sure that I've got room for my sentiment and all of the good stuff. So I'm just going to glue my little snowman down. I'll end up holding my little snowdrift down to make sure that I have my little snowman where I want him to go. And I'm going to glue him flat down on the blue oval that I've cut out. So I get him, like I said, I'm going to lay that little glitter piece down so I know he's where I want him to be. And then once I get him glued down, I'm going to put his hat on him. But I'm going to use some dimensional squares to pop that hat up and give it a little bit of a lift on the front of the card. And I'm using my craft pick to try to transfer those squares. These are not my favorite kind of a dimensional squares. I'm using them because I need to use them up. They're in my stash and they need to go. But I'm not a big fan of them. And in the background you hear my little E-Man cleaning the floor. But anyway, I hope the noise isn't a distraction for you. He is such a sweet baby, and I just love him so much. So I'm going to continue to put these dimensionals on the back of his hat. Again, these are not my favorite, but I really need to use them up. They're too thick. Believe it or not, something can be too dimensional for me. But again, just trying to use them up. I did a little card making session with the granddaughter this weekend, and I wish that I would have thought to use these up on her cards that she made. But at any rate, I'm going to use them up before the end of this year. I want them gone. And so I went ahead and popped that little hat on him. I'm going to go ahead and adhere my little snowy hill on, and I'm using the dimensionals for that as well. And I'm going to get that popped up. I want it kind of popped up so that when I put my birdhouse down, it goes down behind the snowdrift. Yeah, I want my little birdhouse to look like it's coming up from behind that snowdrift. And so that's why I wanted the dimensionals on that snowdrift. So now I'm going to take just a little bit of glue and put on the back of my little birdhouse, and it's just cut out a piece of scrap craft cardstock, nothing fancy. I went to my scrap bin and found a few pieces. So I'm gonna just glue it straight down onto that card front, and then I'm going to very carefully take this teeny tiny little bird and glue her to the top of, well, it's probably him since it's so red, glue him to the top of my little birdhouse there. And he's just trying his best to keep warm. And I think you can see there on the screen where I took my corner rounder and rounded the corners on my sentiment just to, so it wasn't so harsh. I just felt like those corners were just so stark on that sentiment, so I wanted to get those rounded off. And I've cut a piece, I've gone ahead and cut an A2 card base. It's a top folding card base. And then I cut a piece of red cardstock that is, instead of the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, it's 4 by 5 1/4, leaving me a little white border. And then I'm going to glue my blue piece, my blue oval, straight down onto the card front. Now, my die cutting machine kind of warped my paper a little bit, so I'm go around and try my best to get all of the edges glued down flat so that it would take some of that warping away. And here I go with some more dimensionals. You're going to see a lot of dimensionals because I told you I'm trying to use these things up. But I'm going to pop that little sentiment up there. It says, "Stay cozy, my friends," and on the top of my card. And that's our card for this time. I so enjoyed making this card, and I hope you enjoyed watching my process. I hope it inspires you to go and get the Snow Buddies digital stamp set, or maybe some of these digital papers. The Watercolor Naturals digital papers has some beautiful colors in there that you'll be using throughout the year. And don't forget these 2 die sets that I got from TLC Designs. Neither of them are Christmas die sets, but I'm using them in a Christmas card. And you'll be able to use these die sets over and over and over again. They have some beautiful border dies in there. There's the rectangle die has some great shapes in there. And then that oval, I mean, I am in love with this oval with that little scalloped edge on it. It's just beautiful. And there's just tons and tons of different dies in there that are just gorgeous. So you need to head on over to TLC Designs shop and check them out and see all of the great products that they have. Thanks for stopping by and listening to me ramble on about this card, and thanks for joining me today. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, my information is in the description box below. If you haven't subscribed to TLC Designs YouTube channel, go ahead and do that as well, and hit the little bell icon so that you can be notified every time a new video is uploaded. Tammy Louise goes live every couple weeks on Thursdays and crafts live with us, and it's a lot of fun. So you need to know when we go live and when we upload upload our videos. Until next time, bye.